Hi, you guys. Um, yeah, I say it every time. Okay, this is my favorite part where, it's 30-second delay. I got to wait for you all to show up and wait for the video to appear so that I can quickly reach and hit mute, which I've done. Whew, okay. I have so much to tell you. We had a hurricane, which was really fun. And I'm going to wait until you all start coming in the room. But I want to know who all was in the path of the hurricane. And first of all, like I'm laughing that I'm in the path of the hurricane because I was fine and I'll tell you everything about it, but I hope everyone was okay. So also come in and tell me if everyone's okay. All right, you guys are starting to come in. Hello from Portland, Indiana, Wales, DC, Boise. Okay, so far I don't think any of you guys are hurricane path. Now, by the way, if you were, Florida, wait, Florida was hurricane path, right? Although actually it cut inland. It cut inland and then up. It took a weird path. Maryland, Southern California, DC. Oh, thanks, Charlene. I'm fine. It was, so normally, North Carolina. Oh, all fine here. Okay, yay, Lisa. Normally, you think closer to the water is going to be a lot. Hi, Massachusetts, Canada, Texas, Illinois, Seattle. So when I'm in Brooklyn, like Hurricane Sandy, right? That was a big deal. That was pretty intense and the damage was pretty wild there. Oh, Spain. Oh, love the sweater. Thank you. We're going to talk about the sweater because it relates to the guest. But I'm not in Brooklyn right now. I'm up the Hudson. And I was really surprised at the ferocity of the hurricane's path, sort of inland a bit. It went inland a bit and it basically followed the river, went right up the Hudson. So it was wild here. And I live in the woods. So in the woods, the power lines are all weaving in and out of trees, right? Because all of the power lines have to get to the houses and the houses are like in the woods. So a healthy forest has trees that fall all the time. That's a sign. I mean, healthy forest, like, right? Trees die, they naturally rot, they fall, they disintegrate in the forest floor. There's a whole like fabulous circle of life situation. But what that means is trees fall. So yesterday, the power went out about 5:30-ish. It was during All Things Considered. And it was still light out. And so we thought, okay, let's drive into town. I bet there's still power there. And we'll go to Slices, our local pizza place, and we'll get some slices and we'll come back home. So we did that. And yes, there was still power in town. But on the drive back home, and we waited for the winds to stop, because if you've ever been in a hurricane, the path of a hurricane, it's fast, right? It moves quickly. So it's like, and then we also had tornadoes. So it is really the anti-M situation. So we waited for the winds to die down, then we got in our car and we drove. But on the way back, I guess there was still enough winds, or there was still like a teetering tree. Something took out even more power lines, because obviously we had no power, so it took out power lines. But either then the power lines were just dangling and then the wind took them. But anyway, some fabulous resident who had some orange cones, because it wasn't official, because the power company didn't even know yet, because we were the first ones to report it. They tell you to call 911 if power lines are down. Put cones in the street because the power lines, the live power lines, were snaking throughout the street. Woohoo! Anyway, so I texted my guest to say, I might A, I might not have power, or B, I might drive to Brooklyn to do the live there. And I woke up in the morning, still no power. But the power came on. I'm trying to remember when I texted. The power came on. Anyway, the power came on sometime this morning. That was such a long and boring story. I'm going to catch up on comments. So the power was out for about 15 hours. So there you go. Okay, we're going to talk about the sweater in a second for all the what sweater are you wearing questions. Oh, very, very windy in Manhattan. Yeah. Seattle, Texas. Okay, so everyone's fine. I'm glad everyone's fine. Hello from Long Island, Pennsylvania, Buffalo, New Mexico, Arizona, Georgetown, Mid-Coast, Maine, Akron. Okay. Oh. In Queens, a man was killed by a giant tree. Yeah, you know, my husband was about to take a walk yesterday because it was so pretty and the wind was still kicking up. It was after the rain passed and he was like, I'm not going to be one of those hit by a tree people, so maybe I won't. Okay, so anyway, that's my update before we get to, you're all asking about the sweater, which happens to be knit up in Anzula. Okay, so I'll do my little semi-professional introduction, which, you know, I'm so bad at. Welcome to Quarantine Live. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Hope you like it. Give me the little thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button is very, very helpful to get a notification of the next live. And I am going to be taking 1 week off. So next week is the day before Vogue Knitting Live. And I have so much work to prepare for it. I'm doing some new classes and I got to get my head in the game. Plus, you know, Video Sweaterland. Hi, I'm on Sleeve Island right now. So I am going to take 1 week off. But this week, I'm very excited because I have a special guest who is responsible for some of the most beautiful yarns in the world. And I also had remember a couple of weeks ago, I had Carson on. Well, my whole life of knowing him, I've called him Carson Demers. Everybody I know had said Demers. And the 10th anniversary of Vogue, we were all standing up in the teachers' meeting, introducing ourselves. And he stood up and he introduced himself as Carson Demers. And I was like, what? I've always been mispronouncing your name. So our guest, I met under her middle name, which she no longer goes by. So it's just funny because I had a panicked moment of like, so when I was calling you Sabrina, were you just being nice and not correcting me? She was like, no, I used to go by my middle name and now I don't. So now she goes by her, well, real name, her first name, which then I just found out today I was mispronouncing. So I'm going to see if I do it right before I turn on the introduction. It's Calliopeia. Did I do it right? Oh my God, from Anzula Luxury Fibers. Okay, she's about to come on and tell me whether or not I did it right. If she just won't turn on her camera, it's because maybe I did it wrong. Oh no, I did it right. Okay, thank God. Hello, did I do it right?
Hello, Calliope.
What did I say?
Calliopeia.
Oh, see, I was so close. I mixed, I morphed.
Sorry, I was too busy laughing.
Yeah, I morphed. Oh, okay. Well, I'm a terrible person, but anyway.
You're really not.
I know. Hello. So already we've had like 4, what am I wearing? What am I wearing? So now that you're here, we're just going to say that, get that out of the way. So first of all, what I'm wearing, oh no, I used it all up. Oh no, I didn't. I still have one left. Oh no, this is a different yarn. This is this yarn. Okay. So what I'm wearing is called Seagate and it's knit out of Squishy. Squishy from Anzula. This is not Squishy. This is for better worsted. This is another one that I have. This one I have a couple of these and I brought it up because I thought, ooh, I have the other one's buried somewhere. Oh yeah, here it is. It's holding my needles right now. So I brought these two up because I thought they're going to be something. I don't know. It's the aqua colorway.
Pretty.
I love that one. Because you remember I was torn between this. I was going to do this one in aqua, but then you showed me this colorway, and you said, because you made the good point. Do you remember this one at all?
I do.
But do you remember at TNNA? What happened with the
How
colors?
many TNNAs ago was that?
I don't remember. Okay, here's how great it is to have a friend that's honest with you.
Oh goodness, what did I say?
No, you listen. You had my back. Color. You had my back. So this is Jetson, and the year I did Jetson, that mustard color was all the rage. It was all about mustard. It was all about mustard. It was all about mustard. And so I had picked out a sort of a mustard color, and this one, I really wanted this for the main colorway.
I remember that. And
I brought it up to you. So by the way, all of you guys in YouTube comment land, you'll know if you're ever at like a consumer facing show and you're given color advice, you know she's being honest with you. Because I brought them up and you said, oh, Charlie will ring those out of inventory. And you looked at the colors, you went like this. I said, are you displeased? She's like, you said, it's fine. Can I show you something else? I was like, yes, I want, this design is sort of, I mean, it's sort of plain. Like the fun parts of it are, you know, the I-cord neck and the scoop thing. And then the weird,
it's super fun.
The little tucks and the split hem. But, you know, there is miles of stockinette. So it's about, I wanted it to be about the color. And I said, no, give me a pair that you like. And you gave me that one. You changed out the yellow. And so it was much better. So anyway, hi. That's our talk. That's our talk about the yarn. So you have people from everywhere here. We have Santa Cruz.
That is so exciting.
Oh, Suzanne Larson says, I'm knitting a sweater with Anzula now. Love it so much. Oh, Suzanne, tell us which yarn.
What yarn are you using?
Because there's like a little 30-second delay. So, Crooked Knit says, Squishy is my husband's favorite sock yarn. He's always very excited when I knit him socks out of it.
I hear that so often. Husbands love Squishy.
She said her his first pair was for their wedding.
Oh my goodness. Thank you. I'm so honored.
Your yarn is wedding sock.
That's really so special.
Good. That is a pretty good deal. Okay. I'm going to catch up in a second. So hello. Oh, I scrolled too much and now the chat went away. I'm so professional. There we go. Okay. I'm back. These guys know it. These guys know I'm like soups profesh, I always say. So anyway, we had a little hurricane here, but you guys are okay in California.
Yeah, we are just roilingly hot. We actually are going to be in the low 90s this week, and I'm super excited about that because it's been in the hundreds for I don't even know how long.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, because it's been in the 90s here. But we haven't gotten to 100 yet. So weirdly, today, thanks to the hurricane, it has one day of cooling off, which is why I can wear this and be really comfortable. This is really interesting. This does keep me warm in winter, but I'm not hot in this right now. I'm totally comfortable.
Yeah, it's not too heavy.
Which is, well, mysterious.
And if you want to be even more comfortable, you should wear Vera. Vera is silk and linen, and it breathes really nicely. That's what I'm wearing right now.
I don't have that.
Ooh, I need to send you some.
Vera.
Yeah. And then if you want to be even more comfortable, you should wear Milky Way because it keeps you cool and it wicks away moisture.
What's the fiber of that bad boy?
Milk protein and superwash merino.
Ooh. I have kind of gotten a linen obsession now because I was doing Palm Canyon, and Pam, I don't know if Pam's here today. Oh yeah, there's Pam. She wrote Squishy with a million Ys. Pam knit the linen version, which I then had to give back to her because it belongs to her. And I decided I had to have one. So I cast on a linen version for myself, but then I got embroiled in the video sweater class. So once again, it's going to be this thing that I never get to. But Vera sounds like maybe something I want to do a spring top in.
Yeah.
So I definitely want that. I have a bag of one of your discontinued yarns is my someday knit for pleasure yarn. And it's the perfect yarn for the only pattern I've ever bought for myself to knit. I'm trying to remember the name of it. It's a Carol Feller pattern. And
Is
Carol
it Cole
bought
or Oasis?
it's a cardigan with like lace in the back. Trying to see if I have Patty patterns for fun. I have a folder marked Patty's pattern for fun that eventually I'll get to.
No, I meant the yarn. Is the yarn?
Oh no,
Cole?
no, the yarn is a really old one. It's one I've had forever. It has. Did you have a yarn with camel in it?
Yeah.
Cole what's that
Oasis?
I think it's Oasis.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a pink, but not a pink that I wouldn't wear. It's like a dusty rose.
Yeah.
But like with a little kind of, it's a really sophisticated, it has like a little grayish overtone to it. So it's not like pink. You know, I'm not that, but anyway.
No, neither am I.
Oh, I have Seagate, but I haven't picked the yarn yet. Well, I think you know what yarn you're going to pick, but it is hard to pick the color.
And you can go to either your own yarn shop, or you can go to Anzula at shopify.com.
And I'll put that link in.
To get your yarn from us or from the yarn shop.
And how many, this is going to be a dumb question. How many colorways do you have?
About 140.
Holy mother of holy.
Yeah, just a couple.
That's hard. That's hard to choose.
It's hard for you guys.
Right,
for me,
that's
it's
what
like,
I mean.
I don't have enough colors because there's the in-between of everything.
Ay. Yeah, I remember when I was doing the Jetson kit, I did ask for your help because I became overwhelmed with help with some suggestions of pairing.
Yeah. We're always happy to do that.
Yeah.
It's so much fun.
It got a little overwhelming. And then the other thing is there's an expression in retail back from my yarn store days when I was the yarn buyer, buy 10% ugly. And it doesn't mean ugly. It means buy 10% outside of your comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
So like, for instance, when I was first buying, someone would look around the store and it's like, where are the oranges? There's no oranges or rusts. And I was like, yeah. Oh, shoot. Or another knitter said, where's the bling? There's like no yarn with sequins or sparkle. And so anyway, if you step back and look at my Rav page from when I was just a knitter, it's just all like purples and teals. And so sometimes.
You mean the stack behind you?
Well, yeah. I mean, yes, there's no, these are all my designs, but sometimes the yarns are chosen by the magazine. So I don't get to choose the color. Like that's a magazine pattern, this magazine, that's magazine, that's magazine, magazine. This is, I got to pick this, I got to pick this, I got to pick. But Carol Sikowski picked this color for me.
Oh yeah.
When I did Tortola, because she's like, you've got to get out of your color rut and this will photograph really well.
Yeah, that's a great color for you.
So I think I made her choose a color. I think she helped me choose this one too, to get me out of my color rut. Nice. For Roselle, to nice. Like force me out of my color rut. But so speaking of color, I've never actually asked you this. How did this whole thing start?
Well,
like how did you know how to do this and then start doing it? And
I often say Anzula started out of addiction because I was 19 years old. I had guardianship of my kid sister, and we went to go visit my mom for Christmas, and she taught us to crochet when we were little, and we were bored out of our minds visiting her, as you are when you're a teenager visiting your parents. And she had some yarn and crochet hooks hanging out. So I decided to go and see if I could remember how to crochet. And again, I'm 19, so I'm not going to ask my mom for help. And so I'm just like poking at it, trying to remember how to do it. And finally, I start getting it going. And once I started crocheting, I couldn't stop. And as a poor college student, I couldn't afford to get as much yarn as I needed to keep my habit going. So people started buying stuff from me. I'd be sitting at the coffee shop doing my schoolwork, and people would ask me what I'm making and be like, can I buy that? And I figured out some numbers, and they started buying stuff from me. And then I learned to spin for my 21st birthday and started selling hand spun yarn and became a production spinner.
What was your wheel?
My first wheel was the Ashford Traditional.
Very good first wheel.
As is a lot of people's.
Mine was the Lendrum.
Oh, nice, nice. I think that's the only wheel I haven't spun on, is a Lendrum.
Short, and it was recommended to me by Carolina Homespun, who you know at Rhinebeck they have all the wheels out, and the orifice sort of tips towards you, and so for women of a certain, or men, just humans of a certain height, it's more comfortable. You're less likely to be hunched over. Yeah, so they recommended it. It was a good recommendation.
Very cool. Not being short, I've never thought of that.
So then you started spinning. Oh my God, I didn't even know that.
I started spinning, and in the Bay Area in the early aughts, there wasn't Facebook or Ravelry, or before that MySpace. We had tribe.com or tribe something, but it was called Tribe. And so
totally never heard of that.
Yeah, most people haven't. And so I met other crafters on there and met somebody in Davis. And they had also come to the craft fairs that I went to, because I would sell at craft fairs and farmers markets. And they came, and we decided to learn to dye together. And she was at the in the arts program at UC Davis, and they have all these kilns and giant looms and all sorts of fun things. And so we went in their dyeing room, and I brought the fiber and she had the dyes, and we just spent the day dyeing and playing and learning. And then of course I got the dyeing bug and started dyeing everything.
And when was it founded? I don't
2002.
Even 2002. 18 years ago. 18 years ago.
Yeah.
So you were young. You were really young.
Yeah.
Holy moly. Holy moly.
Yeah. Take a moment. It's okay.
Did you know anything? How did you do that? How did you know what you were doing?
I didn't. I just did. Apparently I've always been kind of a little entrepreneur. As a kid, I would go around and mow people's lawns. I was able to go to sixth grade summer camp because I sold the most chocolate bars. I have that little thing that is good at selling. And
how long was it just you?
Until 2010, it was just me.
That's a long time, just
yeah.
you.
And 2008 is when Anzula started really taking off, because I got laid off from my full-time position. I was teaching massage, and I
saw the post where you found like an old business card or something. That's so cool.
Those are fun memories. So I was doing massage and teaching massage and having Anzula as a background hobby business. And I decided that since there were no jobs in Fresno and I couldn't afford to pay my mortgage with minimum wage, that I would do my massage business and try to grow Anzula. And I did Stitches West and Stitches South and Sock Summit. And yeah, I went to the very first Sock Summit, actually the only 2 Sock Summits. I met Barbara Walker. Oh my gosh, she's amazing. Did you know Barbara Walker likes to knit with glitz? that
With
acrylic
what?
glitz,
Oh,
that
good.
acrylic yarn that's chain made and has sparkle in it.
Whoa.
That's like the only thing she knits with.
Oh, why am I getting like a crazy weird echo all of a sudden? Did I forget to mute? No, I didn't. Oh, I don't know why that happened. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, it blew my mind. So I don't know where I was. Oh yeah, so I was laid off and I applied for TNNA because I was realizing that I prefer more the relationship direct with the yarn shop owners than doing a ton of retail. And so I was driving all over California, picking up yarn shops, seeing if they would want to carry us. And we picked up about 9. And then I did our first TNA in January of 2010. And we picked up 14 shops there, including Pro Soho, which was, oh my gosh.
I remember your first TNA. My first TNA was 2006.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. So I remember, you know, by 4 years in, you're already kind of bored and you're looking for what's new. Do you remember like the way TNA used to work? They had the newcomer alley. There was like that one, and and it was almost all the way over in, you know, the needlepoint section. It was like the little dividing line, and then there was a worse alley that came in a little later that was on the other side. It was against the wall in Columbus on the other side of Needlepoint Valley. So I would always try to make a point to go down that road where it's just like usually one person sitting at a table. Just
yeah.
So were you by yourself in the very first one? Or
I actually brought 3 of my friends because 2008, 9, 10, everybody was laid off. Nobody I knew had a job. And so my friends, I was really, really fortunate. They just came and were helping. And like, I couldn't afford to pay them. I would give them yarn sometimes, and I was like, I feel like I'm taking advantage of you. They're like, I'm just happy to be doing something.
Right.
And it's not like I was making any money at the time either. So we were just hanging out. It was kind of like this little quilting bee, but we were making color cards and we were dyeing yarn and playing and labeling, rescanning. It was a lot of fun. I miss those days.
Whoops. No readers on. Elise. Oh, what's the name of the yarn with the linen that's good for wicking away?
The one I'm wearing is Vera. There's a lighter version called Breeze.
Oh, Breeze. Okay. And then, so which one's Milky Way? Someone wrote
Milky Way is milk protein and superwash merino.
Got it. Okay.
And that's the one that's especially good for summer because it's cool and it wicks away moisture.
Okay. So Milky Way for the wicking, then you're wearing Vera, the linen, and then, so yeah, I need to get the Vera too.
Yeah.
Funny,
I'll send you all 3, Vera, Milky Way, and Breeze.
Okay, Len, I'm going to text you where I am now later.
Yeah.
My address where I am now.
And the crazy thing about Milky Way, two skeins makes a t-shirt for up to size 42.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what this goes, I think from 32 to 60 inch chest. And I'm trying to remember, there's so much yardage in this bad boy that it's not that many skeins for the largest size. Yeah, this was like this is 4 something.
You're also very tiny.
No, I'm saying it's not that much it's so much yardage.
Yeah. 4 skeins. Four skeins up to size 42 usually.
All right, now I just have to check. Because I'm just curious.
Yeah.
What is this called? What am I wearing? Oh yeah, Seagate. Yeah,
on first.
Yardage is in Milky, not Milky, in Squishy. It's a lot.
385.
Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah, the size range. This pattern goes from a 32 inch chest to a 60 inch chest, and that's 3 skeins to 6 skeins. 6.
Yeah.
I mean, anyway. Yeah.
With a giant cowl too. That's pretty good.
I know. Oh, sorry, I hit my mic. Well, and it's you know what's a yardage saver? Is
did you do that nice neck? Oh, nice.
See, this is all in short row shaping.
So you don't have all that extra fabric hanging on the back.
Yeah,
that's really nice.
That's why it hangs so nicely, and that's why it drapes, because all the weight of it. Because this is going to be bad. So I'm not going to talk while I lift this up because I'm wearing a mic.
You're so cute.
But that's all short. That's all short row shaping.
Nice.
So, and it's also less. Then it feels like less knitting because Amy Herzog calls a cowl neck a soul crushing amount of knitting. Because you sort of feel like, oh, I'm almost done, right? And then you cast on for a cowl, and it's basically like a baby sweater attached to your neck.
Yes.
I mean, in essence, right?
Yeah.
So it's a lot. All right, I'm catching up on questions here, comments.
Yeah, so up until 2010, while you're looking for questions, Anzula was out of my home. But after the first TNNA, are you all right?
Yeah, I caught my glasses in my yarn.
After the first TNNA, our Anzula was truly taking over my house. So I found a studio outside of the home to do Anzula in.
Which, by the way, can you imagine what if you were still working out of your home during this whole quarantine?
It actually kind of would have been ideal.
Really?
For a period, I had to lay off my entire staff.
No, I know.
Me doing everything. So it kind of would have been an ideal. Thankfully, I live really, really close to Anzula, so I could just walk over.
I just thought for the like psychological break of not being in your home like the rest of us who are just working from home, like a change.
No, I was kind of jealous of everybody that could just be home.
It's not as fun as it looks.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was going to say, you have had a uniquely stressful ride because
it's been a challenge.
Shortly before the pandemic, before the state declared, non-essential business shutdowns, and before you had to go, all by yourself, you had what I did not understand at the time, a fairly serious concussion. I hear the word concussion, and I think I, like a lot of people, think of concussion as a really like bad headache, like a bad blow to the head. And maybe there's a 48-hour period where, like you have to watch for when you sleep, and then like you're fine. You have a headache, you take some aspirin, you're fine.
Yeah.
That's how a lot of people think of, but that is not what happened.
Well, if you have a minor concussion, absolutely, that's pretty normal. But apparently if you have a severe concussion, that's not what happens. I wasn't able to work at all for 2 months, and technically I still shouldn't have been working when the pandemic started, but it was just me, so I had to. And so the amount of work that I would usually do in like 5 hours, it took me like 14 hours to do, just because I couldn't critically think. I still can barely critically think. And fun fact, I can knit, but I can't crochet.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so interesting, because crochet, there was a crocheter many, many years ago that, trying to remember the year, it was a long time ago, that was sort of responsible for doctors rethinking what they knew about the brain, because there were so many misconceptions about the hemispheres, and if stuff is lost, what happens. So like, for instance, it used to be thought that if you didn't develop speech by age 5, it would never come. And then there was a very famous case of someone who had such severe epilepsy, such a firing in the brain, these electrical storms in the brain, that he had one whole hemisphere removed. And what happened is, when the damaged hemisphere was removed, as long as the hemisphere is there, and that's where the speech center is, the other hemisphere is like, well, he's still there trying to do his job. Like, who are we to interfere? That hemisphere's there.
Right.
But when it was totally removed, then the other hemisphere was like, oh, well, I guess we got to do the speech thing now because the other hemisphere is gone.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a myth buster. But there
Right.
was a woman who had this severe stroke, and language center was gone. It seemed like back in the day, what people thought about stroke victims is like, they would use words that we really don't use anymore, like vegetable. It's not really like
Yeah.
a medical term.
Not
That's
so much.
not so much appropriate. So she was just lying in bed with, didn't seem connected. And one day when her daughter was visiting, her daughter was crocheting. And the mother sort of like looked at her, like made a certain kind of very active eye contact. And the daughter was like, and handed her the hook and yarn, and her muscle memory just took over.
Yeah, it's
And off she
amazing.
went. And it's in a different part of our brain.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's why I'm able to knit so much. With crochet, there's so many different movements that it made my brain hurt, and I couldn't do it. But fun fact, Kelly Ledwig, who owns McKnitty, she's going through pretty severe chemo, and she can crochet, but she can't knit. So the two of us keep going back and forth.
Yeah. Is knitting primary for you, and was crochet primary for her?
No, I was a crocheter first, which I thought was really weird. I thought I would definitely be able to crochet. And I don't actually know which one she did first, but our brains are weird.
Our brains are weird. It reminds me of the movie Young Frankenstein, where at the beginning, the Dr. Frankenstein is giving the demo, and somebody asks, I can't remember, one of the medical students asks something, and he says something about like some system being Tinker Toys. You're talking about the central nervous system here. And then he gets really angry, and he stabs something to make a point, but he accidentally stabs his leg. The class with like this fork sticking out of his leg. It's very funny. Anyway. I'm catching up on questions. Did she ever crochet before the concussion? Someone asked.
Yeah. So, yes. I learned to crochet when I was 6 or 7.
Oh, this is a good question that I do not know the answer to. Where did the name Anzula come from?
Oh, that is a silly story. So I really like languages. I really like languages, and I have studied Greek, Japanese, and Spanish. So I was playing in my language dictionaries trying to find a word that had the right mouth feel and meant like something crafty or creative, but I couldn't find a word that I liked. And so I took the word azul, which means blue in Spanish, and I started adding sounds to it and came up with Anzula.
Okay, I'm going to start bothering you to name patterns then. Do you know how much I hate naming patterns?
Naming things is the hardest thing on the planet.
It's literally the worst.
Yeah.
I hate naming classes. I hate it all.
We have 140 colors. Naming them is the hardest part.
I mean, we all joke about the patterns in Vogue because they're named cabled vest.
Yes.
Scoop neck pullover.
Yes.
Lace top. But like,
you know, the yarn companies that number their colors, they don't have names. I'm starting to get jealous of them.
I feel that. I started going down the road of locations, you know, Seagate, Hudson Valley Cardi, Gramercy Park.
Yeah.
I have.
That's a good method.
Yeah, but then
it means something to you.
You have, but then you have to check Ravelry, and you have to check has it already been taken, and then sometimes it has, but you're like, it's a hat. I'm doing a sweater. I don't care, but it's a whole thing. Yeah.
Right. We do the same thing when we're naming yarns. With colors, we're not too particular, but with yarns, we go on Ravelry to see if anybody has the same name.
Yeah.
And I actually got in a little bit of trouble recently because we have a yarn that's 100% cashmere that's called Serenity. And somebody has a yarn company that has a line that is Serenity, but all the different yarns are something different, Serenity.
Oh.
So I didn't really feel like it was the same. And it also wasn't 100% cashmere. So like if something is a completely different fiber and maybe not as popular, or there's just a few things on Ravelry. I don't really worry about it. But she got really, really mad at me with Serenity, and I was like, I'm so sorry. We're already in magazines and stuff. We can't change it at this point. She's like, well, you really could if you wanted to. I was like,
yeah,
sorry.
it's tricky, and like there have been over the years. I mean, I will not name names.
No.
Some pretty absurd cease and desist letters sent to yarn companies from some of the big box companies. And it's a thing where you start trademarking like incredibly common words,
Right.
like owning a word. And it always reminds me of this super famous lawsuit where the Marx Brothers were sued over their movie A Night in Casablanca. They were sued by the studio Warner Brothers because Warner Brothers it was the Casablanca, the movie Casablanca.
Okay.
So they sued the Marx Brothers for their movie A Night in Casablanca. And so the Marx Brothers countersued them that they were brothers before the Warner Brothers were brothers.
Oh.
So there was a countersuit. And so basically the judge threw them both out. It was like, we're done with all of you. We're done with all of you.
As it should be.
We have I hope you're doing better now comment.
Thank you.
From a famous person.
Ooh. Who is it?
My famous potter.
Oh.
Do you have YouTube up?
No, I don't.
Okay, then you're going to be surprised when you read in the comments.
Oh.
I'll give you a hint. Gorgeous pottery that looks like knitwear.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes
I do know who that is. I love him. He's very sweet.
I know. Okay, so now speaking of names, I have to ask you, and I asked permission first whether I was allowed to ask you this, and you said I was allowed.
Mm-hmm.
And you also told me that nobody knows this yet. So you all are about to get a big old scoop. I saw on one of your personal channels, one of your personal Facebook, something about a brand new yarn company.
Yes. And the funny thing is, every time I talk about it with friends, their first question is, oh my gosh, what's happening to Anzula? Nothing's happening to Anzula. We're not going anywhere. We just wanted a company that we could have more fun with, because I feel like Anzula is the classy older sister. And this is, and that punk younger sister who's always getting in trouble and doing silly things. That's Mod Yarns. So Mod Yarns is a more fun company and more novelty. This is straight up DK, and it's available. What?
I was like, and then I realized I can't actually touch it.
No, you can't touch it. I'm sorry.
Sorry, that was like totally force of habit, but I'm like.
That is fantastic. Sorry. Here you go. So straight up DK is 100% superwash merino. We have little in the middle, or little in the middle.
Lift her up.
Sorry.
Oh, there we go. There's a thick, thin action going.
Yeah.
Little memory of your spinning days?
Yes, so much. And there's other yarns that are memories of the spinning days that we'll be coming out with. So that's little in the middle, superwash merino, and with the polyamide strand in there.
Like a wrapping, okay, cool.
Yeah, and then fingering 101. The perfect base fingering for all soft yarn, superwash merino and nylon.
Nice.
Just that true basic sock yarn. And you could pair these two together, or you could pair these two together to get something funky. Charlie's doing a shawl right now with these two, fingering 101 and little in the middle. Or you could just use little in the middle by itself. This is a scarf that I'm designing.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice. And actually, if you go, I don't have it here. Like Do you have a swatch just in stockinette of that by any chance?
Somewhere, but not in front of me. Not that I can reach.
Because a yarn like that with a beautiful colorway in stockinette, you're letting the yarn do all the work.
Oh, for sure.
You know,
for sure.
You're letting it do its thing. So where did this idea come from? Like when did you start working on this?
Well, it's been in my brain since like 2010. And originally I wanted to call it Ugly Girl Knits. But
Why?
Why? I don't know. I thought it sounded fun, and that's why I wanted to name it. But a lot of people shot me down with it, and were like, "Don't call it Ugly Girl Knits." So then coming up with a new name was really tricky. And for a while, we were going to call it Pop Yarns, but there's a website owned by somebody in China that is Pop Yarns, and they just won't release it.
Oh, I know of Yarn Pop, but that's a bag.
Yeah, that's a bag company. But
That was founded by a friend of mine.
Oh yeah, I like her. Yeah. So then I was hanging out with my friend Chris in Washington, and we were playing around with sounds and names and stuff. And he's like, "What about Mod Yarns?" And so now it's Mod Yarns. But I was originally going to release it, I think, in 2012. But at that time, that's when Laura's Laces came out with Mrs. Crosby.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to seem like I was like going on their coattails and trying to be like them. So I put it on the back burner.
Oh my God, that's so long ago.
Yeah. And then I think 3 years ago, we were like, okay, let's do this. And we were going to release it last year, and then something happened. And then we were going to release it this summer at TNA, and that got canceled. So with the whole pandemic, it was just put on hold. And now we're ready. The website's done. We're just waiting for the URL to switch over, because we had it on one when we just bought the website. We just had it on a holding thing, but now that the website's ready, we have to switch it over to the place that's hosting it. And apparently that takes like a week. So any day now, it should be able to be live. Modyarns.com.
Wow.
Yeah, and we have 25 colors. It's so hard just whittling it down to 25 colors.
Oh, we have a question from Carla. How many plies in the finger?
I think it's 3. Let me check. I'm gonna unwind the yarn right now. Yeah, it's 3.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure the DK is 3 also.
Nice, round, smooth.
Yeah.
I just realized I've been mindlessly knitting. I wanted to knit 7 rows straight on this sleeve, and I think I might have knit more. Let's see. Oh, wait.
What happens?
No, did I stop just in time? Oh my God, I stopped just in time. That was 7 rows. I'm going to stop.
That's amazing.
Because now I have to design the cap. So I just knit the sleeve, and then I'll deal with the cap later.
That makes sense.
I've never like, I've been so, I don't design on the needles, but I've been like designing a section, knitting it, designing a section, knitting it. Like the whole thing is I mean, not designing, that's not right. The whole thing's graded, right? I mean, converting into words.
Okay.
Converting into it. Because converting into words is a pain. I hate words. I wish all knitters could just knit Japanese knitting patterns with no words, just here's the chart, here's the schematic with numbers, please to enjoy. But we need like more and more and more words now. We have to like pick up needle with right hand, holding yarn in left hand. I mean, it's gotten like, you know, if you want to sell a pattern, you have to tell me what chair I'm sitting in when I knit it. So there's that. Were you knitting backwards? I was, says Nina. That's a really, Nina, how did you even see that? I was holding my knitting kind of off camera. I am amazed. Oh, Crafty Aaron says, I'm so spending some of my birthday money on your yarn. Ooh, tell us what you've chosen. Or maybe you haven't decided yet. Maybe Crafty Aaron has not decided yet. but it's a very good use of your birthday money, don't you think?
This color is called Adelita.
Can't that color just be called "Put That in Patty's Hand"?
Yeah. And then this one's called Lieutenant Worf.
Okay, I understand Lieutenant Worf entirely, but what's the other color name? Tell me again.
Let me see. I'm gonna grab the
Does
sheet.
that
'Cause I
reference
don't
that
remember
reference I
everything.
do not know.
We have Anchorman, which
Okay,
is the color of his jacket.
nice.
Bubbles, which is a light blue. Callie, Cherry Bomb, Dora, Falcor, Frida,
Ooh,
Godzilla, Groot, Kiss the Girl, Like a Virgin, Major Nelson, Master Splinter.
Master Splinter?
Mhm.
What color
Ooh,
is that?
it's a brown.
So where's that one from?
So apparently you're a few years older than me. You didn't watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
No.
Yeah.
I'm like twice your age, girl.
No, you are not. Panther, Phoebe, Pretty in Pink, Purple Rain, Queen Bee, Ramona, Rock the Boat, Rocky, Toxic, and Velma.
Okay, I would like to put in a request.
Yes.
To me, you need more, meaning you don't have any David Bowie related names, please.
I feel that.
Yeah.
Send me some of your favorite phrases or words.
Okay. I mean, I'd like an Aladdin Sane in there,
Okay.
and a Ziggy would be nice.
Okay.
But I'll go more obscure than that. Yeah, I'd like a rock lobster would make me happy.
Oh, Rock Lobster would be great.
Yeah,
Or Tin Roof.
Yeah, that would make me happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we can do a deep. Oh,
I
someone
need to
said
write these down.
someone wants to know what color is Frida. Do you have
Pink.
Frida handy?
Pink.
Pink?
I don't.
Okay. Oh, and Crafty Aaron loves Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And Pam, I think you met Pam on the cruise. Pam just wrote TMNJ. Yeah, that's not a thing. Oh, Labyrinth. That's a Bowie acting reference. But yeah, you can always tell the younger Bowie fans, because like my friend Michelle, who also loved Bowie, but she loves him from Labyrinth, from like her favorite movie when she was a kid. Did you read that Labyrinth story written by it was written by the brother of the boy that this was about. He interviewed him and he wrote this article. It was about, there was a special showing of Labyrinth when the movie first came out for kids on the spectrum. This was a thing that was really important for Bowie.
I did hear about that. Yeah.
And he
did a special screening.
Yeah, there was a whole special screening. And somehow there was this one-on-one conversation with one of his fans.
Oh, yes.
The Mask.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, you know what? I don't even want to tell the story. You guys Google Mask, Bowie, Labyrinth, have your Kleenex ready. Get ready for a good cry.
It's so good.
It's the most beautiful story.
I feel like we should talk about it though, because I feel like a lot of knitters are on the spectrum or just socially awkward.
I'll try to do it justice. I hope I might not do it total justice.
Well, it's just a little bit that I can describe that I feel like so many of us feel like we have to put this mask on to deal with the world. And it's not who we truly are, but it's who the world will accept. And then you can take that mask off at home and just be yourself. And it's basically like that. He goes into more detail about it with the kid. Well, so everybody should totally watch it.
He did it with the kid. So he was a mime.
Yeah.
He has a strong mime background. He studied. So he told the boy, somehow they were talking about like being shy or being awkward or not. And he said, well, I wear a mask, an invisible mask, and and it's magical, and I put it on, and I want you to have one. And so the story describes him like taking off this mask, and immediately his demeanor changed. He looked smaller and quieter. And then he put the mask back on again, and he was David Bowie. And he said, so I'm going to spin you one. And he like spun a new mask out of thin air, and he gave it to the boy. And he said, so I want you to put this on anytime you need it. And the boy put it on, and he smiled, and he immediately felt better. Yeah. And so he it's
magical.
Yeah. And even as an adult, he said, like, I still wear the mask. I still, I put that mask on when I need it. Yeah, it's, it kind of actually relates to something you and I were talking about before the live. For all of you guys, oh, Major Tom. Yeah, Major Tom.
Major Tom.
Yeah. Yes. And then maybe an alternative colorway, just ground control. That could be, I think ground control could just be like the deepest, darkest blue, so blue it looks black. Could be ground control. Anyway, so yeah, it reminds me a little bit, we were talking before we went live that I was crabby. I was feeling crabby. I was having a bad day. And you all are here because you love us and you're so nice to spend time with us. But it's hard because the mask that you wear when you're, and I don't even want to say a public figure, because that sounds so dopey. I'm not a public figure. You're a public figure if Joe Schmo from Iowa knows who you are. I'm not freaking Julia Roberts. I'm not a public figure. I'm somebody who does my job in public, right? I do my job in public. And so therefore the people that know me, have an ownership of you. And what's hard is for I would say it is 10 to 1 for every 10 spectacular people. So it is, to be fair, this is not the majority.
It's the minority.
Yes. So for
maybe
every
even 100 to 1.
Yeah. Well, no.
No.
So not.
Sorry.
No. For a knitwear designer, I'm gonna have to stick to a hard 10 to 1. Okay. For every and I get these amazing emails. Like I got an email the other day to the mdk@gmail, the Ask Patty email that I have. And I was having a particularly rough day where some people had written me some very unkind things. And, it's like, you're not going to like every pattern. So that's okay. But, you don't have to tell me why this is ugly and this was stupid and you should have done it this way, or no one's going to like every class. So you don't have to say like, why that's a dumb technique. Why would you teach that? So she wrote just a really nice letter about how much she had learned and how like I'd changed her knitting, what an aha moment, blah, blah, blah. And I wrote her back and I just said, like, you have no idea how much a letter like this means to you when, when you're having a bad day. So yeah, sometimes the mask is like, it doesn't help because the mask makes you seem like either, I don't know, that you're a giant company
or invincible,
or that you're bulletproof, or that you are, some famous person who's making a lot of money, which, you're not. And the funniest comment ever, we try to be bulletproof when, you get the unsubscribes and the unfollows when whatever, you're talking about something that you care about. Maybe it's political. Maybe it's just like me talking about patterns and about how I felt about this whole yarn substitution debate and why I'm not going to knit something out of Anzula and then suggest 4 other yarns. because I chose it for the color. That doesn't mean you have to use it, but I'm not like, anyway. So, and I wrote a whole thing about how I'm going to support the companies that I feel good about. And that might be a mid-range company that produces quality yarn at reasonable prices, but is still good to their staff. It might be a female-owned company who uses all American-made products and American, dyed, and it might be a, whatever. So yeah, it might be the unfollows, the unsubscribes for that. But what kills me is when they bother to then private message me and tell me exactly why they're unsubscribing, or hit the unsubscribe button and then write something terrible. And a friend of mine who's she's an Instagram friend. I've never even met her. She's just someone that I have like, a knitter that I've developed a relationship with, and we private chat sometimes.
Right.
She said, you just tell them you are not an airline. You needn't announce your departure.
I love that.
How great a line is that? Like, you don't like me? That's okay. I don't have to be liked by everyone, but why the need to, on your way out, like, I don't know. I didn't harm you personally. So yeah, so the mask is, it's a double-edged sword, that mask, eh?
It's true.
Can get a little tricky because it doesn't always protect you.
Speaking of the lower end of yarns, that was one of the reasons we came up with pop yarns.
Oh yeah,
was because we wanted to have something slightly at the lower end of the spectrum. It's not as low as we would like, just because the cost of yarn is so high at the moment. But
and a lot of other reasons that you're allowed to say. You have staff that you pay.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Pay them. So, because you and I have talked about this at TNNA, about how, I remember having a conversation with you where you said, I've crunched the numbers a million ways, and to lower prices would mean me making decisions that I'm not comfortable making.
Right.
It would mean paying people a salary that I don't feel is right. It would mean going to mills that I don't feel good about. So yeah, like
just labor is 20 to 25% of our budget.
Yeah,
And that's on the really high end. What'd you say?
Well, you don't really blow your own horn about that. About there, there's a reason some yarns are inexpensive, and it often is on the backs of labor.
Right. So yeah, we have to make a certain amount. It was so funny. So I am very open and honest with children. I feel like kids need to understand budgets, and they need to understand how things are made. And so with my nieces, they were over here one day, and we were talking about how much my yarn costs and what goes into the cost. And one of them said, okay, don't worry, I'm not going to ever ask you where you hide your money. I was like, oh, honey, oh, I wish there was a place that I hid my money.
Oh my God.
Because while it sounds like big numbers, it doesn't become a big number that you get to keep.
Right.
It's all these big numbers that go to everybody else. Everybody gets paid before you get paid. And then you get this little bit.
Maybe you can have a lesson where you explain gross and net.
Yes, we're going to have more of those lessons. It wasn't, the moment had passed, but yeah, we're going to have many more of those lessons.
Yeah, like this is a weird year. This is a weird year for a lot of teachers because for those of us who take a deposit when we book, non-refundable deposit, which of course we're gonna, transfer.
Right.
We're rolling all those deposits over to the next year. So I'm honoring, like, some of the people book so far in advance, right? If they booked me for 2020, some of them booked me in 2018. So I'm already booked at 2018 prices, which I honor, which a couple other friends of mine were like, you're nuts, you need to build that in, that your price may change, but I didn't. And so once you sign the contract, so I'm already at 2018 prices, right? Now that job's been postponed till 2021. So in 2021, I'll be doing a bunch of jobs that some of them are 2019 2019 and 2018 prices and are only a portion of money coming in because I already have the deposit.
Right.
So I have to pretend that money's not there.
Right. And you've had the deposit for 3 years. It's a long time.
And taxes are, yeah.
Yeah. That makes taxes real weird.
Taxes
It's
are
all about
real
when you
weird.
get the money, not when you use it.
Taxes are really weird. And then I heard a story on the radio today that like, oh, they're going to do, the government's talking about a second stimulus payment. I never got the first.
Oh man.
Never got the first. You log onto the website that says, where's my stimulus payment?
Yeah.
And it just says, we will be sending it out on May 22nd.
Yes.
Of
what year?
Yeah, last year. I mean, it never came. So that's hilarious. Okay, a lot of votes for ground control, FYI.
Nice. I have it written down.
Oh, here's another good one. We could be heroes.
Oh.
That's a good one. That is a good one.
Yes. Yeah, I'm writing it down.
Oh, I saw someone asked probably about the story that I just told about some of the mean emails that I got. Someone said, was her name Karen? Okay, so there was a story. I listened to Morning Edition. I love Morning Edition. And there was a commentator named Karen today. And she was talking about the history of all of this. And that before Karen, there was Becky. And she was explaining the history of where Becky came from. Becky came from the very famous video of Baby Got Back, was where Becky's came from.
Right.
And before Becky's, she was tracing all the back,
how fun.
Yeah, back to like Civil War era. But then she said, and she ended it with, so the names change, and I'm hoping very much that the name will change soon. For NPR, I'm Karen, and then I actually forgot her last name, but her first name was Karen.
Karen, I feel bad for her.
I know. Elise said if makers charged according to what they are worth, we'd be paying $100 a skein. It's true. I know.
Yeah.
But none of us are doing this to get rich.
We just want to pay our bills. Like, that would be nice. Yeah. Have a little bit of retirement.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. All right. Oh my God. This is what happens. See, we've already been talking for over an hour.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It goes really fast. Okay. So I'm trying to think if there's, while I have you here, the things that I've always wanted to know. Oh, I do actually. Here's a little industry insider thing. How have you ever, based on, sales and a good business decision, discontinued a yarn base that hurt your heart, that you would loved and were like, I have to say goodbye to this because it's the right business decision, but it makes me want to cry?
I would like to say yes, but the answer is no.
Really?
Yeah, because one of the policies of Anzula, and it's not going to be a policy of Mod Yarns, is that we don't discontinue anything unless the source disappears.
Oh.
So colors or yarns, we don't get rid of it because designers really rely on the yarn being there, because as a designer, you could have something go to a book in today that's not going to be published for 5 years. 5 years, that's a long time in the knitting world. And if the yarn disappears, disappears, you have to redo the whole thing. Yeah.
So this was so not the yarn company's fault. That's Barocco, Catalana. And most yarn companies are really sensitive to this. And so if you're a designer and you email and say, oh, I'd love, can you send me a ball of whatever, I'm thinking of a design for it. They'll tell you like, I can, absolutely. But FYI, that's going to be phased out in 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So yarns go on a do not design list, right? Where they still have it. That was a living yarn, but the mill closed with no warning. So it totally took them by surprise.
one of our best-selling yarns that happened to. It was so heartbreaking. Mermaid. Mermaid was seashell and silk. And it was just getting designed by tons of people. Pearl Soho had just released a gorgeous shawl in it. And all of a sudden, the source disappears. The mill didn't have a problem. It was the source. It just decided to go away. And it was sought after. Like nobody could get it. And I felt terrible. Like I love Mermaid. But it also stunk really bad.
That is a bummer.
Yeah.
And Carolyn says, oh yes, gross versus net, a rare skill. If you're, PJ says, if you're counting a deposit as income for business, you need to double check this with your accountant. Yes. We know. That's called, it's cash accounting versus accrual accounting. And my business is cash accounting. So yeah, that's life. Steve Inskeep, what? Carolyn says Steve Inskeep is a high school friend of mine. Steve Inskeep is one of my NPR friends.
Oh,
they all feel like my friends. Like these are my voices that are my friends.
Yeah.
If I sleep through morning edition or I have a meeting through morning edition, then I listen to KCRW because KCRW is 6 a.m. there is 9 a.m. here.
Nice.
So the KCRW, your peeps are my peeps too.
Nice.
But then I get confused sometimes. I forget that I'm listening to KCRW and I'll hear the weather report and I get really confused. Like it's all very confusing. And sometimes now that there's internet radio, there was a NPR station in Hawaii that I listen to sometime and they give the surf report all the time.
Yeah.
Just like we'll give on our local breakaway, we'll talk about the subways. They give surf reports. So there you go. Jean says, in regards to price of yarn, the best answer I relate to is what does a round of golf cost my husband? At least 4 or 5 hours, and the joy I receive from quality yarn.
And one skein of yarn is often 40 hours. Like to make a pair of socks, that's 40 hours.
Right. That is true. That's a really interesting point, and that has to do with product versus process, and experiential money versus thing money. And it's a really good point because we'll often have one, I don't know, like what's the word I'm looking for? Appropriate range for experiential money.
Right.
Like this is what I would spend for a concert ticket, a Broadway show, even eating at a restaurant.
Right.
And guess what? After you eat at a restaurant, and I'm all for the experiential money.
Oh yeah, I miss restaurants so much.
I know, me too. And I don't know what to do. I don't know what's right either, because when upstate restaurants are open again, and we have outdoor dining, some limited indoor dining. And when restaurants open for outdoor dining, I said to my husband, like, okay, we got to start going to restaurants at least once a week. We've got to support the restaurants. But then there's a lot of food critics that are saying, please don't go to restaurants. Support your restaurants by takeout only. You're endangering the lives of
the staff.
Servers. So now I don't know, and my nephew's a server in San Francisco.
Right.
So if people don't go to the restaurants, he's out of work. So I don't know
there's no perfect answer.
It's really hard to know
Yeah.
what is the right way to support a business. But I do think, like in Massachusetts, they seem to have a better rule about dining, which is in New York, it doesn't seem to make much sense. We're required to wear masks as soon as we stand up and leave the table. Like, so if you're standing up and going to the restroom, but as soon as you sit down, you're allowed to take your mask off.
Yeah.
In Massachusetts, you're allowed to have your mask off when you are alone with your party eating.
Mm-hmm.
But when your server's ready to take your order, they stand 6 feet away and say, are you ready to place your order? And you put your mask on and they approach the table.
Mm-hmm.
That seems to make more sense to protect the server.
Right. That is logical.
So now we do that in New York. If we are doing outdoor dining, we'll keep our mask around our neck. And as soon as the server comes, we'll pop it back on. And once we had a server say, oh, it's okay, you're allowed to have it off when you're at the table. And we're like, but you're not allowed to have it off. So
Right. Yeah.
that don't
And it's like, you're protected when I have my mask on.
yeah, it doesn't make any sense. So
Yeah.
love NPR, yay, I do too. Oh, we have someone from Australia joined us.
Yay!
Yarn
I really want to go to Australia.
Carol says yarn comes from the entertainment budget, not the clothing budget.
Yes. Well, and so yarn is an entertainment, but then you want to give it as a gift. So you've used it for two different things. Those are two different budgets. I know a lot of people who say they won't use a good yarn for certain people.
Oh, you froze.
And I'm like, I personally don't want to knit with a certain type of yarn. I personally don't want to knit with a certain type of yarn at all. So it's my experience. I'd rather buy them something if I don't want to give them what I want to knit with.
Right.
So,
totally.
Yeah.
I agree. Oh, yeah. Oh, actually, it's so funny. I just was having this conversation with Zanti, who's my brand marketing consultant. Ashley said, I'm a consultant. There's a saying for us, you're not paying for my time. The time it takes me to fix your problems, you're paying me for the time it took me to learn how to fix your problems.
Yes. You're paying for my experience.
Yes, I had. So I used to be a stage manager, and we would say this all the time. Every time our union sat down at the table, at the negotiating table, to negotiate our contracts, it was all about hours.
Right.
Well, first of all, our base hours were 60. So our hours are already, not appropriate. But then the argument would always be about like the turnaround time and what constitutes, overtime and all this stuff, because after all, the stage managers are paid so much. But we're paid so much because the safety of the entire company is in our hands.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, particularly on Broadway, when you're talking automation, I could have killed the entire cast of 42nd Street if I didn't know what I was doing, because they come up over this telescoping staircase and they're coming up blind because the lights are on their face.
Oh my gosh.
And they are literally going off a cliff.
Oh my gosh.
The stairs aren't telescoping as they're dancing down.
That's terrifying.
I mean, and then Jersey Boys with the trap, like
there's so much trust.
You could kill people multiple times over.
Yeah.
And now as a consultant, yes, I consult with yarn stores. And right now I'm doing a lot of consulting with teachers about how to do this.
Right.
And yeah, you're paying for what's in the brain.
Yes.
Exactly.
Doctors went to school for so many years for a reason.
Oh,
you pay them a certain skill or a certain amount for a reason.
And then if you're wacky like my sister and you got an MD, PhD, and you decided to combine your medical degree with postdoctorate, because medical school is 1.5 years in school.
Yeah.
You're going to be in school for 7 years, then have 4 years of postdoc, then have another 4. I mean, it was crazy. Like,
yeah,
years.
Or people that have a law degree and a medical degree.
Yeah, yeah. So she had, it's MD, PhD is not okay. Oh wait, Bob was probably before your time. Oh, someone's asking about Bob. Bob who? Bob who? Bob was probably before your time. He worked Broadway too. But Bob who? Did I miss a comment? Did I miss Bob's last name?
Did you know a Bob? Or how many Bobs did you know?
Bob is stage managers.
You know what? I don't know a single Bob in the knitting industry.
There's 2 Roberts.
I know Bobby and a Robert.
There's 2 Robert stage managers. Wait, we know no Bob in the knitting industry?
I don't. You might.
Bob. Okay, now I'm gonna have to think of Bob and Roberts. Oh, we have a question. What is the beautiful rainbow yarn over your left shoulder? Oh, that one? Ah.
So this is a Skein-Net chain. It is 8 20-gram skeins put together, and it's called a squishy skeinette chain.
No,
And this is rainbow. On our Shopify, we have, I think, 8 or 9 different varieties. And you can see a bunch of them.
nice.
Yeah, so a few, I don't know when, because time is an illusion, but Tyga Hiller designed a shawl called Juniper Spur, and we have, for a long time, we've had these 5-packs.
Oh yeah.
That are 5 20-gram skeins, and she asked for a bunch of them, and we gave her, I don't know how many, and she said, do you mind if I pull from them and make something bigger? And we were like, absolutely. So she ended up just pulling 8 colors and making the shawl with 1 full-size skein and 8 colors. And we're like, oh my gosh, we have to get that up. And so this was created from her design. And I love when things like that happen. I always feel like designers need to have the stuff in front of them for the really good ideas to happen. And this never would have happened if she hadn't taken a bunch of these, taken them apart, and put this together.
Nice. Well, yeah, because that's the thing about yarn, and that's part of this whole discussion about, you know, as the knitting teacher in me, why it made me so sad, the idea of like, just tell us 4 yarns to use. I'm like, no, then you're skipping the part where you're choosing your own ingredient, which is so, because I think people think about swatching as a gauge swatch. I make a 4x4 thing, I measure it, it matches, I knit, versus I'm going to start swatching to see what this yarn wants to be when it comes up, because we swatch backwards. And throughout time used to like just play with yarn and then be like, oh yeah, I think that's strong enough for
that's how I knit. That's how I've always knit.
Cable, whatever. Oh, okay, I'm going to catch up on, where are you giving, oh, where am I giving classes? On the internet? Where we're all giving classes now?
But how do they find your classes?
Well, so I mean, on my, for those who subscribe to my newsletter, Patty, which you subscribe to on pattylyons.com, I've been teaching once a month. I took this month off because I was teaching with Vogue, and then I have to get through Virtual Affinity, which you're going to vend for.
Yay! Oh my gosh, that's coming up so soon.
I know.
Is it October or September?
It's September.
September. Don't worry, it's in the works.
So soon. Oh my God.
I don't know anything. I follow my calendar.
I don't have my camera right now. My dining room is floor to almost ceiling boxes at this point for the goodie bag stuff.
Wow.
So, you know, then it's just my husband and I are going to be putting together 150 goodie boxes that get shipped, because all the attendees also get a camera. They get a, not this exact one, but similar to this, these Hue cameras, so that they can have their hands
I need to get one of those
under a camera for the teacher, so they can switch back and forth between the front view. And then we have all these goodie bag stuff. So, oh my gosh. Karen says I'm going to date my yarn. Okay. All right. So I'm going to have to go soon. So if anyone has any excellent questions, pop them in here. But this is what I want to say to all of you guys. First of all, enjoy your yarn, date your yarn, see what it wants to be when it grows up. You can never have enough color in your life. Oh, did you happen to notice the my Wednesday, my knitting Wednesday wisdom today in honor of you?
What was it? I've been working up, but I was like, I have to get all this work done because I don't know how long our thing's gonna go.
I do a knitting Wednesday wisdom, and I have to figure out now that I'm doing these on Wednesday, I try to figure out how to tie it into the guest. So I think it said something like, and if you're not a musical theater fan, this will mean nothing to you, but it said white, a blank, Hank or put up, our favorite. So many possibilities. If Sunday in the Park with George was sung by a yarn dyer. So it's the last line of Sunday in the Park with George. White, a blank page or canvas, his favorite. So many possibilities. Exactly. All right. So all of you folks. Oh, when's the next class? Well, I'm teaching at Vogue right now. Is
So if
next
somebody
week.
wanted to take a Vogue class, how would they get into that?
Well, they sold out in 4 hours.
Right, but you keep doing these Vogue classes.
Yes.
So if somebody wanted to take one.
So the next Vogue one, I can't do September because I'll be doing virtual affinity. So then I'll be teaching on my own platform in September. So I'll be announcing those on my newsletter, and then I'll be back with Vogue in October. So I've taught on my own platform a couple times in June, July, and I've been doing Vogue, and I've been doing and then I've got virtual affinity. So I just have to get past virtual affinity before I announce the next series of classes on my own platform, and then I'll be back with Vogue in October. Okay. So we always end the same way, and I have to get my window open ready to close it out. So because of the 30-second delay, I always warn them as we're ending so they can get ready for the way we always sign off to each other to make sure that we take care of ourselves and take care of other people. So you can type it along with me if you know our sign off, but you know our sign off is wash your hands, don't touch your face, wear a mask, knit on. Okay, I added the wear a mask a couple of weeks ago. All right, you guys, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining me. It was so nice to see you.
I love your face.
Your hair looks so long. I love when you just chopped it all off. It was so I think I love the Instagram post where you're like, my hair hurts my head. It's gotta go.
Yes.
I chopped mine last.
It's so pretty. Every time you go like this, I'm like admiring the curls. They're laying so perfectly.
Well, thank you.
So
Well,
pretty.
you know what? This is hurricane hair.
Oh.
So there's no product in this hair.
It's gorgeous.
That is hurricane humidity, baby.
I love humidity with my hair.
Hurricane hair. Okay, I have to go finish grading.
Good luck.
For the children's sizes. Okay, so hold on, let me get my thing. Okay. Bye. I'm going to sign us off now.
Bye.
Goodbye. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye, friends. Love you guys.